Watson, a powerful millionaire who owned skyscrapers and companies, had everything a man could dream of, except peace. Years ago, his little son, Oliver, had mysteriously disappeared. That wound never healed. No matter how much wealth he gained, his heart was empty. One cold night, while driving his luxury car through the glowing city streets, Watson's eyes caught something unusual. At the corner of a dark alley, a black homeless boy sat on the freezing ground, wrapped in a torn blanket. In his tiny hands, he held a broken toy car, the exact same model Oliver used to play with. Watson froze. His heartbeat thundered in his chest. "This can't be real," he whispered. The boy slowly lifted his face, and Watson's world stopped. His features, his innocent eyes, his little smile, looked so much like Oliver's that Watson felt as if time had dragged him back into the past. Without thinking, Watson stepped out of his car. People around stared in shock. Why would a billionaire approach a homeless child? But Watson didn't care. His eyes were locked on the boy. The child's lips trembled as he whispered, almost pleading, "Please, don't leave me alone, Uncle." Those words struck Watson like lightning. His knees weakened. For years he had searched for Oliver in every face, but tonight, this boy awakened a pain, a hope, and a fear he had buried deep inside. Watson stood frozen, staring at the boy who had just whispered the words that pierced his soul. The night was cold, but he barely felt it. All he could see was the child's face, so hauntingly similar to Oliver's, yet different. He knelt down, slowly so he wouldn't frighten the boy. "What's your name, son?" Watson asked gently, his voice trembling despite his attempt to stay calm. The boy hugged his knees tighter. My name is Daniel." His eyes darted nervously toward the passing crowd, as though he was used to being ignored, or even mistreated. Watson's throat tightened. Daniel. The name didn't match Oliver, but the familiarity in his expressions, the way his small hands clutched the toy car, it was uncanny. "Where are your parents, Daniel?" Watson asked. Softly. The boy looked down. I don't know. My mama left one night and never came back. And my papa..." He hesitated. "He's gone too." His voice cracked. Watson felt his chest ache. He had always believed wealth could solve any problem, but here, before him, was a living reminder of how powerless money truly was. A child abandoned, lost, unseen by the world. Daniel's shivering caught his attention. Without a second thought, Watson removed his long designer coat and draped it over the boy's shoulders. Daniel looked up at him, surprised. No one had ever cared enough to protect him from the cold. "Listen, Daniel," Watson said. "I can take you somewhere warm, somewhere safe. Would you trust me?" The boy's eyes studied him carefully. In that moment, Watson realized Daniel wasn't just a child. He was a survivor, a boy who had learned to doubt promises because the world had failed him too many times. Finally, Daniel nodded slowly. "Okay, but only if you don't leave me." Those words echoed in Watson's head. "Don't leave me." The same words Oliver once cried during thunderstorms, clinging to his father's hand. Watson gently took Daniel's small hand into his own. "I won't leave you. Not tonight. Not ever again." As they walked toward Watson's luxury car, people on the street whispered in disbelief. A millionaire walking hand in hand with a homeless boy. It was a sight no one could ignore. Cameras clicked, phones recorded, but Watson didn't care. For the first time in years, his heart felt alive. Yet deep inside, one burning question grew stronger. Why does this boy look so much like Oliver? Inside Watson's lavish penthouse, Daniel's eyes widened at the golden chandeliers, velvet couches, and panoramic view of the city. He had never seen anything like it. Still, he sat quietly, clutching the toy car as if it was the only real possession he had. Watson ordered warm food, but Daniel hesitated when the plate was set before him. Is this really for me?" he asked, almost in disbelief. Watson smiled sadly. "Of course. Eat as much as you want." As Daniel devoured the food, Watson studied him carefully. His mannerisms, the tilt of his head, even the way he chewed, it all resembled Oliver. The resemblance was too strong to ignore. Finally, Watson couldn't hold back. "Daniel, can I ask where you got that toy car?" he asked carefully. Daniel looked at the car in his hand, then back at Watson. "It was the only thing my mama left me before she disappeared." His voice lowered. "She said it belonged to someone important." Watson's heart skipped a beat. He leaned forward. "Do you remember your mother's name?" Daniel hesitated. "Her name was Claire." Watson froze. Claire. The same woman who had worked as a nanny in his house years ago. The same woman who disappeared right around the time Oliver vanished. His mind raced, memories flooding back. Could it be? "Daniel," Watson said slowly, his voice trembling. "How old are you?" 10, Daniel answered quietly. 10. The same age Oliver would have been. Watson's hands shook. The resemblance wasn't just coincidence anymore. Tears welled in his eyes as he whispered, almost to himself, "Oh my God, could it be? Could you really be my Oliver?" Daniel frowned in confusion. "What did you say?" Watson quickly wiped his eyes. He couldn't burden the boy with questions he didn't yet understand. But deep inside, he knew. Something had been hidden from him for years, and Daniel was the missing piece of a puzzle that had haunted him all this time. That night, as Daniel fell asleep in the warmth of a real bed for the first time, Watson sat beside him, staring at the boy's peaceful face. A father's instinct told him the truth. This was no ordinary child. This was his son. The very next morning, Watson called his private investigator, the same man who had searched for Oliver years ago. "I need everything you can find on a woman named Claire," Watson ordered, "and I need it now." Hours later, the investigator returned with a file. The truth inside shattered Watson's world. Claire had indeed disappeared years ago, but not without reason. She had been pregnant. Rumors suggested she left the city to protect herself and the child from people who wanted to harm Watson's family. The file also revealed something undeniable. Claire's son, Daniel, had the same birth date as Oliver. Blood tests were done urgently. The results confirmed it. Daniel was Oliver, his lost son. When Watson read the report, he couldn't stop the tears streaming down his face. He rushed to Daniel's room, where the boy sat nervously on the bed, afraid he might be abandoned again. Watson knelt in front of him, gripping his shoulders gently. "Daniel, you're not just a boy I found on the street. You're my son, my Oliver." Daniel's eyes widened in shock. What do you mean?" Watson pulled him into his arms. "You were taken from me years ago. I searched the world for you, and now, by God's mercy, you're back in my life." Daniel trembled, tears falling down his cheeks. "You're my father?" "Yes, son," Watson whispered. "I'm your father, and I swear to you, I'll never lose you again." The boy clung to him tightly, sobbing into his chest. For years, he had dreamed of having a family, of belonging somewhere. That night, his dream finally came true. News of the millionaire finding his long-lost son spread like wildfire. People were stunned by the miracle, but for Watson, the headlines didn't matter. All that mattered was the boy in his arms, the son he thought he'd lost forever. And as father and son held each other, Watson realized something money could never buy, the priceless gift of a second chance.